I think we'll do an instant replay of the last talk. Sandy asked me a question which brought out some stuff that I normally, I don't talk like that, but it was very good. So thank you. And I thought it was a great question. So I transcribed it. And since I'm a better writer than talker, I added some stuff to it and to make it more exact. So I'll read that to you guys. And for those of you who weren't there, you'll get to be there. It's a replay. Question. You spoke about things which happen toward the end of your process. Respectfully, would it surprise you if there were more to your process? Answer. Yes, that would be really surprising, because there has to be someone to have a process. If there were more to my process, then it wouldn't be what it is. So yes, it would surprise me. Question. I think I understand, but I'm not sure. Answer. When there is a process, there is someone getting somewhere. When no one is left, there is nowhere to go. There is no one to get there. There is no process. The one who would have a process is diminished to the point where no one would be involved with it. No one would care. It's all gone. It's faded into the background. The process requires involvement, and no one is actively involved. The involvement ceases, it stops. There is no more of that. Personal involvement is complete. Its end was sudden and complete. Once it's gone, and you can't get it back. Not that you would want to. Involvement doesn't return, and if it tried to return, nobody would care enough for it to have any impact at all. The idea of being a body-mind is gone. There is no more sense that this life has anything to do with you. In fact, there's no sense that anything has anything to do with you. It's not like you have switched identifications and are now bigger and better, because that would just be more. That would be just a highly evolved spiritual ego. The enlightenment is more subtle than that. There is no more sense of being an individual. It's not like all the thoughts stop. Thoughts continue, feelings continue, but they have nothing to do with you. No one is identified with their thought, with their action, with their feeling, with their experience. Things just happen, but nothing has anything to do with you, including the enlightenment. There is no more identification whatsoever, so there is no process. There is no one to process anything. Everything just is. In these talks, the words just come out. I don't think about them. Everything in life happens like this. Everything just happens. This is what is happening in your life as well, but you think you are doing it. But it is just being done. There is a script, you are reading it, but you think you are doing it. It is not actually happening that way. So yes, I would be very surprised if there was still a process. If there were an ego involved, I'm sure it would be very disappointing. You go through your life seeing everything personally. Everything is about what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you're doing. And you proceed the same way on your spiritual path. It's about what you want and where you're going and what you're doing. When life is impersonal, but it's not really impersonal, it's beyond personal and impersonal. When everything just is, there is a whole different quality of being. It's the same quality you have in those moments of complete stillness. There is just a sense of silence of being. That is all there is. There is all, that is all there is right now for you too. But you are locked into the world of thoughts and feelings, imagining that they are yours. You are pretending to be this character that you play. If all that were gone, the thoughts, actions, and feelings would be nothing compared to the awesome stillness of now. When the silence is primary, everything else is minor stuff which has nothing to do with you. Even the stillness has nothing to do with you. Nothing has anything to do with anything. Everything just is. And in this way, everything is connected, all is one. There is just a sense of presence. That is all there is. There is a sense of being and newness in every moment. That is all there is. And the rest of it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. The life continues. The movie goes on in the theater. Even if you're not involved with it, the movie continues. The projector doesn't shut off until the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, the body will die. But I will not die. I could never die because I was never born. This sense of stillness or oneness is all there has ever been. The rest of it is just temporary phenomenon. These words are coming to you because I was sitting in your chair for many, many years. I had an interest in this stillness and oneness, and I wanted it because I thought I could find peace there. There is peace there, but I couldn't have it. But it could be all there is when the one who wanted it fell off, which happened eventually. What I'm talking about is very simple. Everyone has had the momentary experience of just being in stillness. The only difference in this so-called enlightenment is that the stillness is all there is. When I was a seeker, there was the experience of stillness, and then there was a me which tried to capture it. The me said, that's it. I like this. This is what I want. How can I keep it? This is what made the sense of oneness and stillness a temporary experience. When the me was diminished enough to where it could no longer activate involvement through trying to obtain this thing, then this thing was all there was. The stillness is all there ever could be and all there ever was. There's no process here. Your life is simply a product of the mind's imagination. You have imagined that what you feel and what you think and what you do, you've imagined that that is you, you see? And you're pretending to be this character. So if you can just remember this, that none of this is real. The stillness, that sense of presence, that sense of being, that points toward it, but that stillness is always, always here. It was here before you were born, it will be here after you die, and it's always present in everything, in every moment. And it's not something that's limited to your ability to perceive it. It goes well beyond that. Your ability to perceive or understand is very, very limited. And this is not something that could be understood under any circumstances. It's not something to be understood. It's the who that you are is beyond any of this body-mind phenomenon, which is temporary. And so it's like if you could just embrace that none of this is real, that what is real is always present and has nothing to do with your personal world. And yet it is connected, of course, because it's everything. But just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about, I'm going to say it's separate, okay? That the who that you are is everything. And even though I said in there, you see, I don't feel connected to anything, at the very same time, I am everything. You see, so it was a great question because it brought out, I don't normally volunteer that kind of information. Nisargadatta does all the time. That's the great thing about that is I am that, right? You know, that book, he talks about it, you know, he's very bold. I can't even put some of what he says into concepts because it's just impossible. And somehow he does. So that's why it's such a valuable piece that I am that. But just remember what's real. And the simple way to know what's real is that it never changes. It's always the same. So, whew. And everything here that you perceive is temporary. But there is something that's greater than everything here that you can still be aware of. And if you can release your involvement in thought and feeling and action, if you can just allow yourself to let that go on without you so that it doesn't block your being able to see what it is. Yes. Okay. Nice.
So Nanta?
Yes.
Yeah, so if someone claims or says that I am enlightened, if they say I am enlightened, it's just not true. Like that's a misnomer.
Yeah, it would be, it may be, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's not the kind of thing that I ever think about in my daily. It's, I'd be suspicious of anyone who claimed that, you see. Because really, you see, this thing, so-called enlightenment, we'll call it for the moment, is such a simple thing. It's just like living naturally, really. When it's like Mark, one of the enlightened disciples, I'll use the word enlightenment, enlightened disciples of Ramesh, he said it's like you've been carrying around a 100-pound backpack and you sit down in the field and straps come off. And then you stand up and you go, wow, this is great. You know, and you jump around and you feel so light and really relieved. And but, you know, after a few days, it just feels normal. It just feels normal not to have a 100-pound backpack on.
True.
You know, so it's like that. It's just, and Nisargadatta is, the translation is the natural state, isn't it? I believe so. It's just the natural state. So it's just living naturally without the burden of personal identification dragging you into this dream world. And, you know, so if you were just to rest and fall back into source, that would be it. You see, it's basically, it's a lot of work to identify yourself with this little temporary dream character. A lot of work. And it's really easy not to. It's really easy not to be involved with thought. It's much easier. Way easier. In fact, it's peaceful. You see, so it's much more matter of fact, simple than. That's why really when the enlightenment happened in this case, I didn't identify it as that right away. In fact, when someone asked me about it, I was talking to someone about my experience very early on, and she said, "Well, that sounds like enlightenment to me." And I said, "Well, maybe it is, but it's not what I was seeking."
Right.
Yeah. So, because it was much simpler than that. It wasn't. What I was seeking was really far out, like the most amazing personal experience imaginable. But it wasn't like that. So yeah, you know, I suppose there could be a circumstance where someone says they're enlightened, and there's a reason for that it works in the moment. But you know, it's kind of like you know, Baba said God dwells within you as you, and he was totally one with that. But Baba never said I am God. You know, it wasn't. It's not like that. You know, it's not like a new identification. And so, no identification is subtle. Did that answer it at all?
You know, I missed you cut out that last sentence. Can you repeat it?
No identification is subtle.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's, you know, it's, yeah, it's a much more subtle experience than what one might expect.
Then what about some of these gurus who I've listened to who they talk about internal bliss or just always feeling like they're in bliss? Is that still like a subtle thing, or is that?
Well, what it is, now, some people, a lot of gurus like Baba are much better salesmen than I am.
That's what it is.
I mean, he sold it. He made it seem like, wow, this is what I want. You know, it's like, and it is true. He's just a better salesman. You know, he's got a pitch, and it's like, this is why you want it. And it is exactly as it said. You know, it is eternal bliss, but you see, it's not personal. So it's not what you would consider pleasure or joy, because it's not personal. So it's just a state of being that's not connected with anything. It's just what it is. Just so when all there is peace, you see, then that's all there is.
Yeah.
And it's not the big deal. It's a big deal during the first week. Maybe even the first month, you know, but and then it's just the way it is, you see. So, I mean, anyone who hangs out with me can feel that energy. You know, it's there, or it's always there. But it's not, I just need to sell this better. So that's all true. And different people express it in different ways, you see. So I'm a little more cerebral than some of these guys. Where, you know, because that's the bhakti, isn't it? Love, 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 love. And, you know, that's a great way to express it.
Right.
It's all the different teachers have a different way of expressing that which cannot be expressed, or, you know, explaining that which cannot be explained. You know, that's how it is with what is actually true cannot be understood. But still, I talk, other people talk, and they all say these things that are understood in different ways by different people. None of them are correct, but all of them are useful if you're on the spiritual path.
So when you say being at peace, so it's not personal for you.
No.
But so is it being at peace or being with peace? Or, I mean, does it matter how you describe it?
No, it's so living identified with thought and feeling, you're identified with movement. And it's not like a constant movement. It's a movement that keeps changing and going here to and fro, and there's pleasure and there's pain and there's anger and there's joy and there's love and there's hate. All of it is there. And so there's these constant movements, okay? And when that goes into the background and you're just sitting in the oneness and stillness, you see, that's peaceful. Yeah. That's peaceful. And you see now the other stuff is in the distance. It's in the way back. It's nothing. Because that sense of silence and stillness is everywhere all the time, unchanging. It's peaceful. It's totally peaceful. And it's not the place where the body and mind live in duality. And duality is movement. That's what makes it work, you see. So there's a sense of time, a sense of space, that it has to be a part of the whole, of course, but it's a small part. It's actually a part that has boundaries. So it's a very small part. And it's just not conducive to peace, you see. And yet, everything is in this envelope of peace. Everything is, always. But when you're identified with movement, then that is lost. It gets forgotten by a mind, you see. Then all of the focus is on the movement. And it's lost. What is your question?
So when you say identified with movement, you're referring to what specifically? Thoughts. Movement of the mind, movement of feelings?
Of all of it, yeah.
All of it, okay.
I mean, the heartbeat is movement. Everything about the body and mind is movement. And all of it is locked into time and space. The body is born and the body dies. And everything in between, there's like this continuum. And the mind interprets that, all that movement, and creates a world out of it. A temporary world, granted. But it creates a sense of reality out of this world of movement, which is actually 100% surrounded inside and outside by stillness, you see? So if you like just take an atom, and an atom has movement, you know, there's an electron moving around a neutron, right? But if you really look at it, in that atom is 99% just space. There's just tiny little thing moving, you see? But we're here in that movement and locked into the movement of time and space and thoughts and feelings. All of these things exist in that, and all of the attention is drawn into the movement, you see. And but what's here really is the stillness. That's the 99.9% of what's here. And it's where you came from, it's where you're going, and it's where you are. But because the focus has all been drawn in by the movement, you see, the mind is designed to see movement. It's the mind, to the mind, stillness is invisible. You see, it has no distinction. It has no color, it has no taste. So you're born, and there's that sense of I am. There's that sense of being. That's primary. Everything that's added to that has to do with distinction. Okay? And then, but you get locked into that. So, you know, you're taught you are this person, you do this, you're good, you're bad, etc. And you get locked into this sense of a distinction. But you came from a place which has no distinction. It's beyond all of that. It's beyond time. It's beyond distinction, you see. But the mind can't see it. It's invisible to the mind. And if you're locked into the mind and into the body, then you're blind to that the aspect of what really is. And you're locked into the illusion, you see. That's all.
Right. Good. Yeah, that's okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
May I ask a question?
Oh, please do.
Hi. I saw you actually, I was in Arizona like 11 years ago, and I saw you in person once before, and I thought, hey, we're all online, maybe you are too. And forgot the time zone difference, but really appreciating even getting to come on an hour late, which I would have loved to be there for everything. And
oh, no, you're not an hour late.
But I missed an hour of goodness.
No, you missed just a few minutes. Fine.
I just, you know, I have a bad memory. I don't remember 11 years ago, but I do remember just being in your presence and remembering this. And it's like, you know, here you are and here it is. And I forget all the time. Like I'm not here myself. It takes and maybe it shouldn't be effort, but it takes so much effort to like try to even come close to anywhere like this. And yet here we're sitting and like, it's just right there. And then it'll probably go in 10 minutes as soon as this is over. Hopefully not, but definitely within a week, if not sooner.
Yes. Well, there's satsangs every week, so you shouldn't have.
I'm so glad.
No, this is common. This was my process too. I would go spend time with my gurus, remember. Then I would come back home. I had to make some money so I could, get back there, and I forget. And then I'd be looking in the mirror and I go, oh, I need a booster shot. Go back, remember. But you see, everything's geared up here for forgetting. That's how if you went to the movie theater and you kept remembering that these are just colors on a screen and sounds coming out of a speaker, well, you wouldn't enjoy the movie, And so you allow yourself to pretend that there's really something going on, and then you enjoy the movie. So it's like that in life too. You choose to forget so you can enjoy your life.
But there's a lot of suffering. I've been really ill the last few years, so it's a different kind of entertainment, I guess.
Yes. Now,
it's not that enjoyable.
Anyone who's coming to satsang is experiencing a certain degree of dissatisfaction with their movie. You see, so that's understandable. That's how it works. And there's other people that are perfectly content. I remember I was with Ramesh, and Ramesh is that one there, and some of the relatives were over at the house, and they were just at that age. They had just gotten married. They were just starting careers, and you could tell they were so enthusiastic and so ready to move on to their lives. And after they left, I said to Ramesh, I said, what would you tell them about the teaching? And he goes, oh, I wouldn't say anything. They're enjoying themselves. Why spoil it for them? So there's a certain stage you get to where you realize, well, this isn't it. I know this isn't it. So for me, I knew the career thing, the money thing, the power, all those things, they weren't it. I just knew they weren't it. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't have the seductive power to draw me in. And then when I heard Baba say, God dwells within you as you, that was it. I knew that was it. Mm-hmm. I knew that was the truth. And nothing else was true. And so that drew me in because I was a natural seeker. So the thing about it is that I was, my sadhana was 21 years. And it wasn't until the very end that I made this commitment not to forget anymore. I had done it. I knew how it worked. I kept forgetting. So I did certain rituals that worked for me. And they're just my own. So I had my puja, which are pictures of my gurus, and I kept a candle burning. And it wasn't a big candle. It was a candle that needed maintenance. So I would have to constantly be paying attention throughout the day. And during that time, I was at my puja. And I was a punjari for a short time at the ashram, and I knew the whole thing. And, so it was like a time of reverence, even if it was short. Every few hours I was doing that. And then I would hear something that really reminded me of the truth. And like it was real strong. It always reminded me. And I would write it down. I had a labeler. And I would make a little label of that sentence. And then I would put it somewhere where I would have to see it, like on the mirror, you know, because in those days I used to look at myself in the mirror. and you know, after a while, because of the mind, it becomes invisible. So you have to move it around. And then after a while, that sentence becomes meaningless. So you have to switch it up. And you just remember. And I just made this commitment never to forget, like it was solid. And now Ramesh's guru, Nisargadatta, his guru told him a few crucial things, you know, in his teaching that resonated with him, that, you know, he was the ultimate supreme being, that was his true nature, that none of this was real, etc. And so Nisargadatta, you know, he was raising his family, and he had a beaties factory. He had stuff he was doing, but you know, everyone has spare time. So during those spare moments, when he wasn't having to take care of business or family, he concentrated on what his guru said. He would remember his guru, and he would remember the things that he said, and he would think about them and be with them, and he would see the truth in everything that he was told. So he would look at everything and he would see that it wasn't real. And he would see that it wasn't his thoughts. And he would see that in everything. And he would see also that supreme essence within him was always there. And within a few years, it was done, you see. But because of he applied, Nisargadatta used the word earnestness, and I use the word sincerity. So it's just a matter of like, when are you going to get serious about this? When are you going to just say, okay, you know, enough of this suffering, I've done enough. It's like, I know what the truth is, and I'm just being lazy about this. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to apply this. And you know, of course, the mind is going to fall into habits. And so you have to remind yourself. So, but I made that commitment not to forget. And it was a sincere commitment, apparently. And you know, so I kept it. And then it was very quick. 21 years, but last year was not forgetting, and that was the end. So, you know, and then everything that you've learned all of a sudden falls into place, you see. But you just get serious about it. Don't allow yourself to fall into forgetfulness. And when you do, just remember, that's all. That's all. And watch how it works. The thing about this is that the truth, the absolute truth, is not something you can understand. But you can fully understand the unreal. You can fully understand that. And when you really see the mind and watch how it operates, and watch how it grabs your attention, and watch how it draws you into these thoughts and feelings in this whole little convoluted world, which causes suffering, of course. Watch how it works. And when you can see the ego clearly, when it's really clear, what happens is it becomes transparent. You see, so it no longer has the power that it once had, because the emperor has no clothes, you see. This mind is just a mind. It's nothing. You know, this stillness, this sense of being, this silence is everything. But all of that is drawn away because your attention is drawn to your thoughts and feelings. So watch how that works. Watch how the mind grabs your attention and how it works, it plays with it, and creates this imaginary world. You see, you're imagining to be this dream character. You're pretending. You were taught to pretend. You were just a child, and you were taught to pretend to be this character that you're pretending to be now. But you've done such a good job that you've forgotten that you're pretending. You see? And you've taken it seriously. I mean, it happens to children all the time.
Right.
A child has an imaginary friend, and it's just as real as anyone to them. Well, you're your imaginary friend.
Huh.
And you're buying it, you see? And so this is the thing. You want to watch how that works and stop buying it. It takes time because the conditioning is so strong. And one of the tools you can use is this tool of remembering. And everyone has their own way of remembering. So, I used to write all the time.
Huh.
And that was one of my tools as well. Everyone has their own tools that will work to remind them. Some people could chant. Some people could meditate. There's all different tools. And, the main practice that I had was hanging out with my gurus. That was consistent throughout the 21 years that I did. And that practice really worked for me. But you find what works for you that reminds you, and continue the process of remembering. And I'm telling you, if you bring all of your sincerity to this, it won't take long. It won't take long at all. But you have to fully commit to remembering. And then you'll remember. And then even if you forget, all that will happen is you'll just remember again. You see?
Can I ask you some more? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course.
I wrote some of that, so I'll remember, because my mind is, may I ask you a little bit more?
Please do.
Okay. Excuse me. I mean, I did have a teacher for 10 years and he stopped teaching, and it was and so I've not had a regular teacher because there's just hasn't been one in my city that I resonate with, I guess, in the same way. I resonated very much with you when I visited, but so I'm really glad to know you're doing this every week. And is it this time?
On every other 2 Thursdays a month.
Okay.
But every Sunday at 3 o'clock our time.
Yeah, 2. Okay.
Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. Yeah, so it's just an hour difference.
Same time.
Yeah. Oh, no, I thought it was the same time.
Is it?
It is some part of the year, I think it is.
Yeah,
and that's where I got confused.
It's the same time now.
It's the same time.
Yeah, it's right now.
Come on at the right time?
Yeah, you come on at the right time.
Yeah, I thought I came late.
No, you were fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You really meant it when you said a few minutes. Okay. So with my health issues over the last 2 years, part of what's happened is my cognition, my memory. I mean, it's partially, I was like, there was nothing like being with, in the presence of teachers, right? There's nothing that makes me remember. It's effortless, right? Certain teachers. Or like there's a healer also. I have a friend also, that helps. But on my own, I just don't go to the same place. And it used to happen more easily, whether it was because I was regularly seeing my teacher or because I wonder how much my poor memory and cognition get in the way of remembering or understanding things the same. And I feel like that's partially not true because it's probably underneath all of that, but it does play into it. And I'm just not sure I just wonder if there's something, I mean, maybe I just need more reminders. I don't know, but I don't know if there's anything, specifically to that, like somebody who's got that going on.
Okay.
I have some thoughts about. Because it's really been a thing. It's been harder cognitively.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. There's a lot of great teachers out there. You know, but you just find the things that you resonate with. Are you familiar with Nisargadatta's book, I Am That?
I'm familiar. I don't have it, but I am familiar.
There's a, do we have your email address?
I don't think so.
Would you make sure you give that to Mark?
Sure.
And he'll send you a link. There's, and you can see if you resonate with it. There's some YouTube videos that are just transcriptions of that that book. And if you resonate with these talks, you may resonate with that. And it's really strong. And you can go to it anytime, you see. And that's not, there are other resources, there's other ways. We have these satsangs you're welcome to. And, you know, it's like, you know.
Thank you.
There are ways to keep the reminder. We also, there's also a YouTube channel, and we have hours and hours my talks on there. So you can catch up.
I've seen a few of them. I'm not very good with video, but when it's live, it's different. But I'm gonna, that's, you know, that's something I need to, that's something I want to at least try.
Yeah. So you find the things
Love it once I'm listening.
you resonate with that help remind you. And so you just have to put it out there. And I'm telling you though, if you're sincere, those things will find you. They will find you. So if you are really committed to this, all of a sudden things are going to appear that help you on this. Okay?
Yes.
So that's how that works, I think. I believe that's true.
You believe what?
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
That and there's a certain amount of, like, when you make the commitment, the universe presents you with the things that are needed to fulfill that, you see? So now it's presented you with this satsang, and you have the opportunity to come to future ones, and other opportunities will send along, and you can see what you resonate with. Maybe you don't resonate with that, but there's other things going on that you may. And the main thing is, all right, so, you know, have you had enough? Have you had enough? You know, so, you know, now Wayne Lickerman, who's the successor to...
Almost 20 years. Sorry.
Wayne Lickerman's the successor to Ramesh's lineage.
I've seen him.
He's a little more, I don't know what word to put to it, but, you know, he would say to someone, you know, who wasn't really applying themselves, well, yes, you just haven't suffered enough.
No!
So if you have suffered enough, then all you need to do is switch gears by this, recognize what is not real, and recognize what is real, and make that your full-time job. I mean, at least, you know, you have other things in your life you have to take care of.
I have time.
Just like Nisargadatta, all your spare moments devote to this. And it'll happen in no time, because you've also got all the backup of 20 years that will aid you in this. And now it's just a time to apply it. You just apply it. I mean, Ramesh spoke to me on spiritual matters more than any other human on the planet. You know, it's like, and it just came time, like, okay, you know, I've heard what I'm going to hear. And it's like, it's just time to apply it. It's time to actually just sit down and apply this teaching. Really get it. really get it this time. No messing around, no more pretending, no more like letting myself get away with forgetting. You see, just remember, remember, remember. And so that's all you need to do. And there's all different ways that you can remind yourself. And I recommend you do them.
Thank you.
Yeah, do that though. Just apply.
I will.
That's all it is.
I will.
For everyone here, it's that simple. If you just apply it, then it'll be done. It really is that simple. It might take a year or two, but still, if you apply it, it's done.
So, Ananta,
Yes, Tracy.
I do pretty well until I get my feelings hurt.
Ah!
Then it's a slippery slope.
Well,
So I wish I knew how to peel that onion and, release, let go. How do we do this?
well, all it is personal involvement, you see? So you do really well as long as your environment is peaceful and calm. But if someone stabs you, then you get fully involved again, you see? And so it's just a game, you see? The ego's got it all over you. The ego has you figured out. The ego will let you play around a little bit with this peaceful shit, but then it's going to throw you a curveball and make sure it's got you under its control. You see, so you want to look at this and ask yourself, who's in charge here? What's going on? How is it that this mind, I mean, it's good that you have a mind. It's very useful to have a mind. But how is it that you're allowing the mind to have you? How is it that the mind has become your master? Does that make any sense? Why would you live like that? It's a terrible way to live. The mind is not a good master because the mind lives in chaos. The mind has this thought and that thought and this feeling and that feeling. This goes on, that goes on, blah, 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 blah. It's not a good place. You don't want that guy in charge of your life.
Oh, it's a tyrant.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah, so you're letting the little chaos monster rule your life. And so you can watch that happen and go, hey, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. What's going on here? And all it is involvement. Involvement with thought, involvement with feeling, and thinking that this is happening to you. So you see, you fall into that pretending that this is happening to you, that this is you, this is your life, this is my feeling, I don't like it. You see, you don't like it, right? So you're in, and now you want to get out of it because you don't like it. When it was good and you did like it, you didn't want to get out of it, then it was fun. But you see, they come together. You don't get one without the other. So it's better just to keep distance. Let the mind do what the mind needs to do. The mind takes care of a lot of stuff in your life. You don't want to be a vegetable, you need a mind. So good, but don't let it be in charge. You see? Because the mind is just a little chaos machine. And then you get locked into the pleasure and pain, and then you get lost in this little drama, this little temporary drama of pretend you. That's all. Just remind yourself when this shit happens, right? Let's see.
Well,
Yes.
you know, stillness, I have had to be very still, like in a full body cast for 9 months. And that wasn't very fun. In fact, stillness, I kind of have a fear of too much still. So I see where my attraction is for excitement, diversity, entertainment. So when you talk about peace, often that it there's a fear factor there.
That could arise even without that experience. You see, because when you're identified with thoughts and feelings, the idea of being without that as your anchor is a free fall. You see, to the mind, it's a free fall, and so that could arise in any case. You see, your particular experience. I'll bet that if you were in a full body cast and you just zoned into that stillness, you would find complete peace there. But you were like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in a body cast. I want to move, you see? And then it was difficult.
Well, I think I did both.
Right.
Because if I didn't have those moments of surrender, I would have gone crazy, or, you know, wouldn't have been as good as the outcome.
Right.
So I do think I had glimmers of what you're talking about to keep me going.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So just it's use that as a reminder then, you know, of the time that you had no choice, and you know, you can see everything's a mixed bag in life, and but the more you can find peace with your situation as it is, the better off you are. You see, so things get rough and things are difficult at times, and you know that shows you where your hooks are, the things that grab your attention and draw you into, you see, a place that is ultimately not satisfying, ultimately causes suffering, you see. So you just watch how it all goes. And this is how life is, you see. Life is just a series of changes. Things are going great, and then they're going shitty, and then you're going good again, and things feel nice. You're having pleasure, and then you're having pain. And that's how life is. It's a constant movement. But the stillness is still. And it's your refuge, you see. It's your refuge. Life is moving around. And if it were moving around over here, and you were sitting in the stillness here, it wouldn't bother you very much, the movements of life. So that's what I'm recommending. More and more, sit here in the stillness, and let the life do what it wants to do. You see? But don't get involved, because as soon as you get involved with the movement, you're going to get involved with the stuff that you want, that you're enjoying, and then you're going to be there when it changes. And then all of a sudden you're going to want to get out. Why not just sit and watch from that place of stillness, everything that goes on? You see, make that your home base.
It's good to know during this isolation period.
You mean the rest of our lives?
Right, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, you're laughing at it, but it sounds. No, I guess we're not going back to normal, huh?
I don't know.
Gee,
I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. It's just what it is. I don't mind it.
mm,
I'm fine. I've liked seeing you all in person, but that's not going to happen right now. And I like this. This is fine too. It's more convenient. I don't even have to put on pants. I'm wearing pants, don't worry.
I know. None of us have to drive anywhere.
No, I know. It's like, so it's much more convenient. It's and it works. That's the thing. It still works.
Mm.
So and now you see people can come that could never come before.
Right, from LA even.
So you see, it's an advantage. Don't worry about it. And you just take every day as it comes. You're doing all right. It's just an adjustment. That's all. Hmm.
Ananta,
Yes.
hi.
Hi.
Um, there's an image that I like to use, and it's Lord Vishnu in laying, reclining in total repose, in deep sleep, deep rest.
Mhm.
And I know you'll probably say, well, if that works for you, then that's a good tool. But it does. It really works for me, because that image of deep rest and total repose is the stillness. It's a way that I can really enliven that stillness. Is that
Why not?
okay? All right. So and then as the story continues, right, the devas come, the goddesses or the gods come, and they say, hey, there's some shit going down on earth. We really need you to come out of your deep rest and save the day down there, So what happens is, there's a disturbance. There's a disturbance, and Vishnu comes out of his deep rest and goes on down and takes an incarnation. So what comes up for me in this model is that there was a disturbance that brought me out of my deep rest
Ah.
at some point,
Mhm.
and it brought me into this incarnation. So,
Cool. Now, do you have
what is my question?
I didn't say that, but
Oh, okay. so my question is, it's not so much about, I don't want to come back. You know, a lot of people talk that way. You know, I'm not coming back. It's not up to me whether I come back or not, or if I come back, or how I come back. I guess that's someone else's business.
Yeah.
But this idea of this disturbance that sets that pulls out of this deep rest.
Yes.
And that, I would love to hear you talk about that.
Well, it's a lot like, you see, what we are, that essence is infinite. It's like an ocean. And then even the ocean, which seems boundless, has boundaries on the shore. And you could call that like the duality, you see, and where you have a sense of distinction. When it's just ocean, it's just ocean. Now, all of a sudden, there is that sense of distinction. As soon as you get it, there's a disturbance, there's waves, you see? And so this calm ocean that is everything, up and down, like deep for a mile, and then all of a sudden, it becomes shallow and hits the shore, and there's waves and turmoil. And so there's your, and here you are in this appearance of distinction, where there seems to be a separation of that which is everything. You see, so all of a sudden, the ocean wakes up, becomes waves, hits the shore violently, shows itself as something. Whereas before, it was everything, it had no distinction. Now all of a sudden it does. So it's like that. It's like that. It's a good analogy. And if it works for you, of course, like you said, you know, that's what I would say. But my question was, do you have a puja?
Yes.
Do you have this image on your puja?
I don't.
Put
I
it,
don't. The image is here.
yeah.
I
Go ahead.
The image is here. I resist. This is completely hypocritical. And I'm just recognizing some problems here. Because I was going to say I lean into the formless. I don't have an individual deity that I worship. For me, it's the knowledge that I worship.
Mm-hmm.
And these symbols are sort of like tools.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I felt resistance to doing that.
Well, you know, you do the things that you have resonance with.
Uh-huh.
So it's not a requirement. All the purpose of any of these things is to remind you. So what I'm encouraging everyone to do is to remember, you see, because the habit is to forget. So whatever you can do to remember, you see? And so if this doesn't work for you, that's fine. You don't have to. But still, you want to remember, and this is something that you describe, that you have resonance with. So if you can even just take some moments out of every day to remember this, what you described to me. If it's just in your heart, that's fine. But if you use it to remind yourself of the truth, of that essence, of who you are, you see, and if that reminds you, fine. But use it, because the momentum is so strong to forget. It's so strong within you to forget this, that you're going to need whatever tools you can muster up to remember, you know, and not to slide into forgetfulness for any length of time. I mean, it's natural to forget. The mind will always do that. But if you are committed to remembering, then you only forget for a short amount of time. And eventually, you're remembering so much that when you forget, it's so short you don't even notice. You see? But that's the idea here, is to remember. If you know, Baba had this simple thing, God dwells within you as you. If you could just remember, I mean, that thing goes so deep. That one thing has layers and layers and layers and layers of depth to it. And if you could just remember that all the time, see that all the time, God dwells within you as you. Whatever it is that you have resonance with. You know, when I heard that, it was the first thing I ever heard about God that made sense to me. You see, so it was like, oh, yeah, I can believe that one. The rest of it didn't ring, but that one did. So you see, you take these things that you resonate with, which you just described one, and you keep it. You keep it dear to you. So you take all of these things that you resonate with that remind you of who you are, and as a practice, like, do this religiously. Take this and remember and remember and remember and remember until your remembering is stronger than your forgetting. And then you'll be in a different place. You see? And that's all it takes.
I think what I'm afraid of when you say that is of holding anything dear.
Well, now, you see, this is, you don't have to worry about this, because this is just a tool. Okay, so we're taking a thorn to remove a thorn. So you have this conditioning that is causing suffering. And so you're taking these tools to remove the suffering. Once it's gone, you don't need those tools anymore. It's done. So you take a thorn to remove a thorn, and then you throw them both away. You don't need them. So, you know, when I was a disciple, I held on to a lot of concepts, many of which I'm passing on to you. Okay? No, only because they worked for me. But I don't have any beliefs now. You see, there's nothing, I don't believe in anything now. Those concepts, they come out of my mouth, but I don't live by those concepts anymore. It's not about that. It's just about being. But I needed those things as tools because the conditioning was so strong about being this individual that it was necessary to have tools to get underneath that and erode that foundation till it collapsed. You see, and so they worked for me, and so I passed them along, because that was my instruction. It was, you know, you've been given a gift, and it's time to pass it along. So fine. So, and for the people that what I have to say has resonance with, it could be useful. You see, and but you don't have to be afraid of this. It's just a temporary thing that you're doing because it works. And then when you don't need them anymore, it'll all be gone anyway. You don't have to worry about it. Once you are fully in that state of knowing who you are, you don't have to do anything to remind yourself of it. Your work is done. Cheers.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Sandy. Oh.
So Ananta,
Yes.
so in the past you said things like outside of duality, that good and bad are essentially one and the same.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
So you understand that you can't have good without bad.
Right.
If everything were good, you wouldn't know what bad one is. And if everything were bad, they rely on each other. So it's almost like the yin yang. You've got one half dark, one half white, but they make the whole. So the way it works is, you see them as separate, but they're actually a single unit. Mm-hmm. And that's how duality works. There's a sense of separation, but there is no real separation. There's a sense of distinction, and the mind is designed to distinguish between what is good and what is bad, what is helpful and what might be harmful. That's how the mind's designed. And so it's designed to see the world in this with distinction. But everything is the same, isn't it? Everything comes from the same place. it all comes from the same place. It is actually all the same. It's just that we're imagining that we are these individuals separate. We're imagining life in separation, you see, but just because you imagine it with your mind doesn't make it true, you see.
Right.
We all look different. We have different personalities, but our essence is the same. What makes my heartbeat makes your heartbeat. We're identical, really, in essence. And the only thing that's different are the temporary phenomena. It's just an appearance that is temporary, that appears different. But it's not actually so. And so when you're locked into the mind, you're locked into distinctions. And the mind can sense the subtlest distinctions and decide whether it likes it or it doesn't, whether it wants it or it doesn't. And then you're in this drama of life, you see. But, really, all of us came from the same place. We're all going to the same place. We all are in the same place. There's this appearance of separation, which is only temporary, very short-lived. And so really, you see, when I give satsang, it's like, I don't ever feel that any of you are different from me. I don't feel that. I feel like we're the same. It's like talking to yourself, really. But it's almost different than that. It's like, so there's two people talking, you see, and all of it is, but really, I remember once having this vision of sitting in satsang, and there was this talking going on. The guru was talking, the disciples were listening, but really all that was going on was like a big golden vat that just filled everything and made everything was really the same. But there was like this almost static in the distance of talking, but that's not what was going on. And to me, that's what satsang really is, that there is this, behind anything that's ever said, there's this sense of oneness, this sense of complete connection that goes on. And that's what's real here. That's what's always been real here. And satsang is just a reminder of that essence that connects all of us. And it's always going on. Ramesh always said, the teaching is passed in silence. And that's the silence. It's there. It's here right now. It's behind everything. It's behind you. It's in you. It's all around you. It's all around everyone all of the time. And satsang is just a reminder. And these words are just a way to keep the mind engaged and in that center where it can be felt. It can be felt behind the words, what it is that is actually being pointed to. It's here. It's always here. And so now the words are pointers to that, but they can't reach it because that cannot be put into words. It cannot be even put into your mind, into understanding, but it's there. It's always there. Your essence is always with you. And that presence of being, that stillness before any thought touched it, is always with you. And this is just a reminder. This is just a reminder of home. And it's where you're going. It doesn't matter if you get there sooner or later. But, I was a seeker. I wanted to get there sooner. I wasn't patient, you see. Ramesh used to make fun of me because I was young, he's going, what's your rush? What do you think you're going to do when you get there? course, he was right, but it didn't matter because that was my personality. I was impatient. So all of you impatient people, you can go home in advance. In advance. And the advantage is that the personal suffering ends. You see? That's the advantage. And in my particular case, the suffering was unbearable. And suicide wasn't an option. So the ego had to die in advance of the body. That's all.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's all. But you see, it's all, that oneness is all there is. And the mind is designed to see distinction. So you see the good and the bad. You see and you get lost in it when you're identified with separation. But the separation that you are feeling, that it's not real. It's just a dream. And it's not forgetting that. It's just,
Right.
yeah, so when you fall into it, you can tell when you fall into it because there's suffering. So,
Yeah. There's distraction.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
everyone's job right now is to remind yourself and remember. And as soon as you commit to that, and if you put all your spare moments into that, it'll just be a short time before you're just living in that, knowing. You see that sense of presence that you are. Just
Yeah.
really, but it takes that earnestness or sincerity to pull it off, see? Because the ego is very, very slow. It's well designed. The ego is designed very well, and it can fool the mind every time. And it causes complete involvement in the dream. And so, but if you're vigilant, you'll see the dream as a dream. You'll see the illusion as illusion. And when you do, the emperor will have no clothes. And what's behind it is what will always be. And what is here right now, you can feel what's behind it. You can feel it. That's why you keep coming back. Because it reminds you there's something else going on. You see? That answer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah. Very nice. Anyone else? Lots of good questions today. Thank you so much. We're going to sit quietly for a short time.